What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of J&B Unsupervised, and we are definitely unsupervised today. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it right off the bat. Let's talk about the AFC and NFC championship games from last weekend, and both games were a lot different than I think we thought they were going to be. Right out the gate, let's start out with the Lions and the 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers won 34-31, and there was a lot of things that happened in that game. Detroit jumped out very big, very quick, and I don't know what Detroit went wrong. There was a couple of controversial calls that Dan Campbell went with to go for it twice on fourth down, basically on the opposing team's side of the field.
Definitely, yeah. In my mind, I don't know about you, but in my mind, in the playoffs, your offense is sputtering. Why is he not taking?
Well, to be
the
fair,
field goals?
one of them was on their side of the field, and they did not kick a field goal. I retract.
Right.
So they did not take a field goal, and they didn't take points, and they went for it.
But the last one he went for, the last fourth down that he went for, you were in field goal range. I get they have a rookie kicker, but why do you not kick that field goal?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
In 4th and 3, 4th and 5, and then that's the play call.
Because you think about how the game ended 34-31, those 3 points really came back to haunt you for not going for it. Now, granted,
not kicking it.
Not kicking it. Now, granted, on those fourth downs, big drops.
There was a big drop on the first.
Big drop. On the big drop on the first one, the other one was a little underthrown. I thought Jared Goff trying to force it to Amon St. Brown. I thought he tried to force it. I thought he had something a little bit better he could have thrown it to. But like we said, 49ers won 34-31. Some tough calls. Again, I have to bring it up, and I'm not trying to discredit the 49ers that they're going to the Super Bowl, but I have to go back to the Packers game. They got lucky. Missed field goal, came back, changed the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Won the game, felt like the Packers gave it to them. Detroit's up 17 points. I want to reiterate that. Up 17 points on the San Francisco 49ers and then up losing by 3, and it just felt like the 49ers got lucky again. Was it luck, or did the 49ers win this game, or did Detroit give them this game?
I mean, you have to earn every game in the NFL, especially in the playoffs. So, I mean, the Niners, and since they did earn the win because the Lions gave them the opportunities and they capitalized on them, but the Niners looked out that the Lions fumbled the bag tremendously, up 17 points. The fumble of the rookie was bad by Gibbs.
Was the fourth down, going for it on fourth down, or the fumble that do you think changed the tide in that game? What really changed the tide in that game to you?
I think to me it's neither. I think the tide of the turn of it is when the ball bounced off of the defender's helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And then IU caught it at like the 3 yard. Like, down to the 3, I think.
Should have been picked off.
It should have been picked.
That would have been Brock's second pick in the game.
Intercepts it. That's game. That's ball game. They don't score there.
Yeah.
It's a turnover. I think that was the big turning point of the momentum was teetering kind of at that point. I think everybody was kind of. Before that, I think everybody was kind of bored with the game. Honestly, I was personally bored.
Yeah,
going to halftime. I'm like, this is a blowout. This game's
because
over.
we thought this game was going to be the shootout. We thought this was going to be a back and forth game, and Detroit, like we said, jumped out very quickly. I don't know. It's just so disheartening because you thought Detroit had this game wrapped up, and then a missed fourth down, not taking the field goal, another missed fourth down. The fumble really hurt.
Which a lot of people said was bad on Jared Goff on the way he turned. He still got it to the running back. The running back still secured it. The D-line or the linebacker of the Niners stripped Jamari Gibbs of that ball. So really, it's not tucking away, and it's just being a rookie of insecure of keeping it high and tight.
Yeah, no, it just comes down to me. I really look at the 49ers, and I just feel like they've had a lot of luck.
They looked out in the Lions game. The Lions handed it to them on the silver platter. They, to me, kind of earned it a little bit more with the Packers, but the Packers give them everything they can handle.
And everybody out there, I think you're going to like this. What did you say about Dan Campbell if he was to... What did you say about Dan Campbell
Oh fuck.
How he always they went for it on fourth down.
Although he always goes for it. He
He
never
always
takes
goes
the
for
points.
go ahead and reiterate.
In the playoffs, I keep telling him all the time when there's a missed field goal, missed extra point, or anytime there's missed points, I'm like, in the playoffs, it's a different beast. You miss out on points in the playoffs, they'll come back and bite you. And every time a team missed out on points, it bit them. Back to the Texans and the Ravens game. The Texans missed a field goal right before halftime, and it ended up, obviously it was a blowout at the end, but that could have turned the tide. It could have set the momentum differently going into halftime. Instead, it was tied 10-10. You miss out on points. It hurts. The Duck jumped too quickly ahead of the AFC game, championship game, but the Chiefs went for it on a fourth down. I thought they should have kicked it and gotten up 10. Butker, he automatic. I felt they should have kicked it, got up 10 points. I told him, I said, you missing out on points, it's going to come back. You come back and haunt you.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, 99% of the time, you miss out on points, you miss something, it's going to come back and get you.
But do you think Dan Campbell staying true to who he was a good thing of him, or do you think he should have reverted back to playing it safe?
Well, he's a rookie head coach in the playoffs. He has 0 playoff experience, so
as a head coach,
as a head coach, obviously this was his second year with the Lions, and he brought the Lions to the NFC Championship game, which is huge for the Lions organization and the Lions fans. Which is, by the way, we all were behind you guys. We were supporting you guys. We're happy for you guys. But I think Dan Campbell's, everyone likes to say he got big cojones. Big cojones, but I think he got too aggressive in a game that was slowly kind of slipping away, and taking the points there would have been huge.
Going back into this game, Brock Purdy had an interception, should have had 2, but like we said, smacked off home dude's face. IU caught the ball at the 3-yard line. What changed in your mind in this game? Was it the defense or the offense? You think about it, going into halftime, Detroit's up big, like we've talked about already. Did the Detroit make too many changes?
I think.
Or did the 49ers make the correct adjustments?
I think that you have to give some credit to the Niners defense, not necessarily their offense, but to the Niners defense of making the correct change defensively to stop the high-powered, fast-paced Lions offense. Because the Lions defense is subpar at best for the most of the year. They have a solid D-line, but linebacker and secondary, they're average at best. And the Niners defense, they made the adjustments and they got stops. You have to stop them, and they got stopped. They stopped them.
Yeah. So, and it was tough. We were all behind Detroit. It was unfortunate that Detroit was not able to get this game, because I thought Detroit had this game. The game got great at the end, got a lot, got us more interested in the game, obviously. But nevertheless, it was a great season for Detroit. You have nothing but to hold your heads high. Getting to the AFC Championship game, like I said at the beginning of the year, my expectation was Detroit win your division and win a playoff game. And they surpassed everything I thought they were going to do. So a round of applause for Detroit. And then the AFC Championship game, our Kansas City Chiefs went up against the Baltimore Ravens. Kansas City won 17-10. Kansas City jumped out very quickly in that first half. Travis Kelce was him.
He was him.
Also, on a side note, Travis Kelce passed Jerry Rice for the most receptions in playoff history, so that deserves a round of applause. That's consistency. This game really came down to Kansas City got out to a strong first half.
Yeah.
Strong first half. That was the difference in the game. Not taking anything away from Baltimore, that defense was stellar. They were the Triple Crown winner, obviously, leading the league in every statistical category you could think of on defense. But I guess the real question in this game to talk about is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had 2 turnovers in that game, 1 interception, 1 fumble. He was 20 of 37 for 272 yards.
Should have had 3 turnovers.
He did catch his own pass.
He did catch his own pass, but that fumble, he should have had 2 fumbles, and he had a really bad interception.
Yeah. Again, I want to bring this up to you because I know you've been waiting all week to talk about this. We've had a lot of fans out there talking about the refs and how they gave us the game. The big penalty that everyone's talked about, there's 2 actually. The roughing the passer call on Clowney when he absolutely knocked Patrick Mahomes down. People say that Patrick sold it. And then the play where the backup tight end went to go run a route, stopped, and he got grabbed and fell down. But the ball was well over him, and it wasn't even going to him, and people felt like that should have been called. What are your thoughts on people crying and saying that the Chiefs are getting calls when in reality we're the most penalized team?
In reality, I think people that they run to the ref excuse. They're trying to find a reasoning on why the Chiefs are good. When in aspect the Chiefs keep their composure.
Ravens were undisciplined.
They were undisciplined right before halftime. Driving the Chiefs were not going anywhere, and they got undisciplined and attacked Travis Kelce for unsportsmanlike conduct. Move the ball down the field.
People have to understand they're always going to get the second or the third guy that gets it.
It's never the person that instigates it. Now, whether they try to say Kelce instigated it or not, they don't get that. But
players
the guy
should know this.
Late,
you should know this by now. They're going to get the third guy or second guy all the time.
But to come back to the penalty that you're talking about, the roughing the passer, you can't leave with your crown of your helmet. He's led with the crown of his helmet, hit Mahomes in his head. Late, he took an extra step and hit him. Whether or not he was even late, you're still not allowed to leave with your helmet on the quarterback or anybody. This will be a flag. It's roughing the passer or unsportsmanlike.
Well, that's
conduct.
a penalty that they've been very consistent on calling. And people have brought up, well, there's been hits like that weren't called. I can't help that the referee made a mistake.
They miss calls.
That's a mistake by the ref.
They miss calls that go against the Chiefs just as much as calls go against the Chiefs. Our right tackle, I feel like he's been picked on all year long. With the Jaguars, he was
you want to talk about being picked on our offensive line? We had 2 penalties that took back a touchdown.
Trey Smith, we had a touchdown, and even the announcers, when the announcers and the head officials with the
that ball was thrown so quick. I don't even know how you
I don't really like that call. What can you say? I mean, we had a touchdown on the board. It got brought back on a screenplay. It was one of those kind of mush blocks. I kind of hit you and let you go. I can't help this. You kind of fell down into me.
I don't want you to think that we're being biased because we're Kansas City Chiefs fans.
No.
We're just giving you how. Honestly, I would say I feel like Baltimore got away with holding. There's no way Lamar Jackson's moving in the pocket all that time without being
grounding. Tell me Lamar didn't get away with intentional grounding.
I thought at least 2 he got away with.
He never outside the tackles. Just because he chucked 30 yards downfield past the line of scrimmage, that's great. He's still within the tackle box, and there was no.
To me, my biggest thing is there's no way Lamar Jackson's doing all that moving,
and there's no holding,
and like not taking off, and there's not holding. There was
not holding or ineligible.
The bigger thing for me is like people want to complain about the penalties. You can't complain about penalties when you think about just actual penalties. It was pretty neck and neck. I can't help that Baltimore got undisciplined and made stupid mistakes that got them flagged. Van Noy hitting helmet, flag. The taunting penalty. The taunting penalty on Zay Flowers. Rookie mistake. Hitting in the head.
Now, on the taunting penalty, everyone's like, well, I don't like that. I don't like that.
No, we don't like it either, but it's the rule.
It is the rules. You are not allowed to flex and celebrate on top of a guy. He sneaked down, spun the ball on him, and then flexed on him.
This is for Joe Burrow out there.
That is what he did.
Joe Burrow literally said...
Wide receiver Jamar Chase, who won the Super Bowl, not the Chiefs.
But Joe Burrow came out and said he didn't like that call. Joe Burrow would have complained if that would have been his guy that got timed over. Everybody would have complained about that.
Yep.
Look, if it was reversed and that was Travis Kelce or MVS or any... Rice, so they did that. Baltimore, you would have been looking. You would have wanted the flag too. So you can't sit there and say,
"I don't like the flag." I don't think you like the flag.
No, I don't like the talk. I think this is pros. You should be able in all sports. We're grown. If I dunk on him or catch a ball over him, I'm gonna let you know about it. And then the next play, you come and get it. And what did L'Jarius Sneed do? Next play, he got his revenge. And to me, kudos to L'Jarius Sneed. He didn't overreact to the taunting. He got up. Didn't say next play, fumbled in the end zone, we're going the other direction.
I think it's safe to say that you can see the maturity in one team and the discipline and that we've been here and done this. This moment's not too big. versus one team that has been feeling themselves all
I've
year
said this
and collapse.
the last couple episodes. You cannot say AFC Championship game without mentioning the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I mean, it's been 5 years straight. It's ran through Arrowhead. This year we decided to let somebody else host. We still, came in.
We decided to go on the road since everybody said that
We
Patrick
couldn't
Mahomes
do
went
it,
on the road.
and went to Buffalo, which to me, hats off the Bills Mafia. You guys, have a great atmosphere. Shout
It
out
was
Justin
loud.
Kelsey.
I thought it was way
We
louder in
loved
Buffalo than
there.
it was in Baltimore.
Yeah, I couldn't even hear no shot at the Ravens fans, but
I
going
just
to
thought it was
Baltimore versus, Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia, they shelled out. 100%.
But I think the real question we need to talk about in this game was Lamar Jackson, who's probably going to win MVP. We've already discussed this. We don't think he should.
Lamar does
Not saying that
deserve
he's
the
not an MVP player. I just don't think he deserved
MVP.
MVP this year.
MVP candidate, yes, but deserving of taking it home?
No.
No.
Christian McCaffrey.
That's
We
Christian
both agree on that.
McCaffrey, hands down.
But Lamar, like we said, Lamar Jackson, 20 of 37, 272 yards, a touchdown, an interception, a fumble. Did not really get out and use his legs. He only carried the ball 8 times for 54 yards. We have to talk about Lamar Jackson's lack of success in the playoffs. And it seemed to me like Lamar Jackson tried to prove to the world that he could sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. And that is not your game at this point in your career. Your biggest asset on your body when you play football is his legs. And he did not use his legs. Then when he tried to, I thought our defense did a pretty good job of containing him and not letting him break off for the big play.
So was that was that Lamar not wanting to run, or was the defense?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm going to give a lot of credit to our defense and our scheme to keep Lamar, but it's also Lamar wanting to try to prove to the world that he can sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. And that's not his game at this point in his career.
Well, he has the weapons. He
has the weapons.
Flowers, OBJ, Mark Andrews.
Where was OBJ? Where was OBJ?
He was locked up. He was on
another interesting topic for this discussion too. They sound Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Never really got used. Mark Andrews did return for the game. Didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit out here and completely blame Lamar Jackson because it's a team game. Yes, the quarterback's going to get all the praise and all the fall. I just felt like Lamar did not play to his game. He tried to prove to the world that he was something that he was not.
How is it not Lamar when you bring in the number 1 defense? They hold a team to 17 points, 3 points after halftime.
Yep.
How is that not on the quarterback getting the offense down to score? If it would have been reversed, you can't say that people wouldn't be on Mahomes. You only scored 17 points.
I've never liked the whole fact, and I've heard this on First Take. I've heard Ryan Clark say this. We have a whole culture that was on Lamar Jackson's back, being an African-American quarterback. I've always had a problem with that in the instance of, what do you mean by the entire culture? Patrick Mahomes is a black quarterback. Cam Newton was a black quarterback in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson's a black quarterback in the Super Bowl. So I'm not trying to. I didn't really understand what the whole. I have an entire culture. You talking about a scrambling quarterback? Like, is that what we're mobile quarterback culture? Like, I didn't quite understand what Ryan Clark was getting at that. Now, yes, Lamar Jackson has to take some responsibility. I don't understand what the play calls were going on in Baltimore. They barely ran the ball. They were a great running team, and they didn't run it. But again, it also helped that Kansas City came out in that first half and jumped on you. What happens if you jump out quickly? It makes you change your entire game plan, and it felt like Baltimore just completely changed everything and reverted back to a different game plan that did not work.
Is that more on the head coach, Lamar, or the OC for not trying to stay true to their colors of?
I think Jim Harbaugh has to go there because at the end of the day, he's the head coach. He's going to make those decisions. At the end of the day, I do think Lamar. I'm not going to sit up here and say completely that Lamar Jackson choked, but he did choke in the same breath.
Where was he going on the interception?
Well, I don't know. You can't throw into triple coverage.
So
you can't.
Again on flags. Was that not pass interference on the Chiefs' interception?
I don't think so, no. And that's not me being biased. I don't think so. The ball was severely underthrown. Severely. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, how is it severely underthrown? Look where the DB was that caught it and where the receiver was. Receiver's in the end zone. The ball was a little bit before the end zone. So
yeah, you have anything to say about Isaiah Likely throwing his hand up, like, give it up. Throw it up to me. You have anything to say about that? Even though he was clearly
I don't know what he was thinking.
Not covered.
But
Or he was clearly
I
covered.
do think Jim Harbaugh has to take some heat on this one because, again, this has always been the problem with the Baltimore Ravens since they've drafted Lamar Jackson. They've been a great, and when I mean great, I'm talking great regular season team. Lamar Jackson's only lost to one NFC team in his career, and that was Daniel Jones, which I think is still laughable to this day. But they're a great regular season team. But when you get to the playoffs, it is a different game, a different animal. And they have not been able to figure out how to get over that hump in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, and that is something that Baltimore's got to address. And Lamar Jackson, the only thing I'm going to tell you is keep working, man. I like your game. I like you as a player. You're one of my favorite players in the league. But you got to keep working. You have to get better as a player.
But this is twice.
It is.
Twice they've had the number one seed.
It is.
And they fell short in the divisional round. And then they fell short in the AFC Championship with clearly the best team in the league.
They had the best defense in the league. Best
overall team in the league.
They did.
I mean, the other team...
Like you said, their defense held the Kansas City Chiefs in the second half very well. And again, I know... Lamar did drive them that one drive, and Zay Flowers fumbled it in the end zone. And that is not on Lamar. That is on Zay for diving. I don't think Zay needed to really dive. I think Zay could have just walked in or spun. He didn't have to dive. Diving gave our defense the ability to knock that ball out.
It's a good question. It's not necessarily... It comes to this game, but it also goes back to last week as well. Do you think, because it's been a debate, the touchback rule, if the offensive team fumbles the ball through the end zone, should the
rule needs to stay the same,
or should it stay the same?
No, it's to stay the same. You can't change it now.
Well,
and again,
they make plenty of rule changes.
And that's coming from when Malik Hartman fumbled. It's unfortunate. That's the rule. You can't keep changing these rules because then you get old heads who played in the past like, well, man, then think about then take my fumbles away. It's kind of like, for an example, quick, Reggie Bush, the NIL deals we have in college. People are like, oh, now give Reggie Bush back his Heisman. It doesn't work that way. Even though we felt like Reggie Bush should get it back, it just doesn't work that way just because they changed the rules. And this is the problem. You change a rule, but just like we've added an extra game in the NFL season. Well, someone breaks Peyton Manning's passing touchdown record, it don't have no meaning. You break Calvin Johnson's record, it has no meaning because you give him an extra game. We've always said if you break it before the extra game, it means something. But if you break it with that extra game, then we have to take into account, well, did you miss any games? There's always going to be context to it, but
I think when it comes to the record and the extra game you're talking about, I think if you do it within the normal 16 games, then that record should stand as, be like that is the record. But if you do it with the extra game, there is an asterisk that it took 17 games to get, the sack record, the receiving yards, the touchdowns, passing yards, whatever it may be. An asterisk, well, this is the new record that was set with, the extra game versus this is what it is. And I think even going forward, I think that will be the standard of this is what it was without the extra game, and this is what it is now with the extra game. If these records ever break, if they ever do fall.
On a side note, Justin Jefferson missed half the season and still got 1,000 yards. So, I think that's still pretty impressive considering how many games he missed. But, nevertheless, Lamar Jackson, I just think he's got to, the coaching staff, they need to, I don't know what's next for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. We'll get to that later in the episode, but it was definitely a choking job for an incomplete team. Outside of the defense, they did their job. But Lamar Jackson, that offense, the offensive coordinator, and John Harbaugh, they have to deserve some of that blame too. But Lamar did not play to the standard of Lamar Jackson that everyone thought they were going to get in that game. And that's why they ended up losing. Kansas City came out quick. Baltimore's defense talked a lot of talk. And Kansas City made them eat it in the first half.
Quickly, thoughts on Justin Tucker, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, a little scrimmage there, warming up.
Like Patrick said, he didn't really have a problem with it. He felt like they were just, Justin Tucker said he's always done that. I don't know if he's always done that or not. it kind of felt like maybe Baltimore was trying to get Kansas City's head, trying to play the mind games, and it didn't work. And all you did was piss off Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. We do know what Travis Kelce did in that first half, 11 for 11 in that first half. Or 10 for 10. 10 for 10 or 11 for 11. Travis Kelce came out, and you just fired those guys up. You don't want to give extra motivation to two of the greatest players in the NFL right now, in Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And that's basically what it did, and I think it backfired on Baltimore. I think Baltimore was trying to play mind games. Kudos for them. You got to do what you got to do to try to get in your opponent's head. And instead,
But your kicker?
I mean, it is Justin Tucker. I mean,
it's just a kicker.
But he is a pretty good kicker.
He's probably the best kicker ever in the league. But it's just the kicker.
Yeah. But February 11th is the Super Bowl between Kansas City and the 49ers. So make sure you tune into next week's episode where we're going to get into more of the Super Bowl. Okay. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you make it to this point in the video, hit that subscribe button. But another thing I want to get to real quick, and this is something we've had a lot of conversation, the new head coaches in the National Football League. Seattle, they got Mike McDonald. Washington, Dan Quinn. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh. The Raiders, they stick with Antonio Pierce, who was the interim head coach. Mm-hmm. The Titans went Brian Corhan. Am I saying that right? I don't know. I know his first name is Brian. Atlanta went Raheem Morris, and the Patriots went Jared Mayo. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on those hirings? I don't want you to get into the names you're not hearing. I want you to tell me the thoughts on the names that you are hearing.
Not surprised about the Harbaugh signing. I think that is not like a pushing the chips all in kind of move, but definitely takes away any of the excuses of, well, Herbert's being held back by their head coach, we're underperforming because of the head coach. It was definitely a big splash, and I think where everybody kind of expected Jim Harbaugh to go. Yeah. The Dan Quinn signing, I don't really like it with the Commanders. For him, he was already head coach for the Falcons.
He's 28-3.
Yeah, I mean, choke job for sure. It's the Patriots.
28-3.
But in the Super Bowl, but I just in a rebuilding team like that, you're leaving the defense with the Cowboys. I just felt like you would be better off, staying put. But I also thought he was in line for the Seattle Seahawks jobs. I thought he was earmarked for that, and so that was a shocker that he didn't get that job with that young and talented group there. The Patriots, I think they kind of nailed it on the head what they were after. Personally, I think Jared Mayo was
drafted by that team, played for that team, won Super Bowls with that team.
Was homegrown, and I just kind of think that was kind of the quote unquote Patriot way. I think kind of continues on there, and they'll still steadfast with the being a stellar defense there. What do you think about the rest of the squad?
The Raiders, we've already talked about it. I have to give you a round of applause.
You got it right.
You got it right.
Finally,
again,
thank you.
You finally hired a head coach who the team rallied around. Antonio Pierce, I think, is going to have them competing. I'm not saying they're not winning the division. I do think they'll get into the playoffs because he's got those players. They believe in him. Those players literally came out and said, "You don't hire Antonio Pierce, I'm gone. There's the door. I ain't coming back through that door." And so the Raiders actually, for once, got that right.
Yeah, agree.
Atlanta. I thought you were going Bill Belichick. 2 interviews. It was obviously reviewed that they did not go with Bill Belichick because he wanted a lot of power.
Is that a miss? Is that a miss like they missed that on Lamar? Is that a miss? And is that 2 misses in back-to-back seasons?
Honestly, I think it is a miss. And the reason I say it is a miss because I wanted to see what Bill Belichick could do with
that talent. Decently talented.
There's some talent. And
Bijan Robinson,
you gave Tom Brady the benefit of the doubt when he left the Patriots. There was always that question, can Tom still be Tom without Bill Belichick? Could he been without Bill? And obviously, people are going to sit there and say, well, Bill Belichick had an opportunity to win. Now, to be fair, Bill Belichick did make the playoffs one time when Tom Brady left with Mac Jones.
Yep.
And so there is that. And I would have liked to have seen him be able to move on and give that same type of respect that Tom Brady was given to try to redo it. But honestly, Atlanta decided they were not willing to do that, and they went with a different direction, which I'm not mad at. When you really think about a lot of the coaches that are out there, there's a lot of coaches that used to be on that Washington
Oh, the Commanders squad.
The Commander squad back in the day, like they're all head coaches now. Outside, I think one dude, I believe, or maybe they're all head coaches now. They're all head coaches now. But yeah, I'm not too mad. Tennessee, I'm still puzzled that you moved on from Mike Vrabel. 5 of his 6 seasons there were winning seasons.
Thoughts on him not getting a job?
We're getting there. That
not
was
even a DC. Not even a DC.
I
job?
do think he's gonna get a DC job. Maybe. I do still think there's some DC jobs out there that are opening. There was some out there that I was surprised he didn't get. I mean, the Cowboys, they needed DC.
They needed
DC. I mean, I think Mike Vrabel would really let a fire in those guys' asses. But again, it comes down to Mike Vrabel is a big personality. Jerry Jones has a problem handling big personalities.
So as a DC?
So,
as just a coordinator?
But, outside of the new coaches, it almost, to me, looked like, I said this to you earlier last week, it almost felt like out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I mean, outside of like a couple of guys like Dan Quinn, who's obviously had previous experience in Jim Harbaugh, I mean, outside of that, everybody else this is really
their first gig.
Their first gig. Job. And so, a lot of, it's exciting, but it's also makes you think too, because again, another guy who we've advocated for on this podcast. We've seen our former team advocate for him that did not get a head coaching job. Eric Bieniemy, EB, was interviewed for Washington. And what did you say the Washington Commanders did?
I just felt like it was their way to make the Wayne Rooney role apply. You have to you have to interview somebody of color, so then you can go on and hire the head coach you want. I just felt like it was a process. I feel like EB gets just kind of put through the process so I can go and hire the guy that I want, bring you in, because you are a guy of color. And the fact that he has been, had one head coaching interview, has been tied to 0 offense coordinator jobs when he really did a great job.
With Sam
Howell. I mean, all the potential of a rookie guy, because I don't think he played it.
I think he played one game last year. I think he got one last year.
So he played it. Basically
no games.
And got one head coaching interview. Has had 0 interest on the offense coordinator side. I don't know what he did. What did he do?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough.
It's honestly tough. Because I look at some of these teams out here that needed a head coach, and I thought EB could have been great.
Well, you know what's crazy is
like Atlanta would have been amazing with EB as a head coach.
Offensive talent.
That offensive talent, then you bring in another offense coordinator, and you just put those minds together. You can't tell me that wouldn't have been dope. I really do. I just feel bad for EB. I really do, because I feel like, honestly, I don't know what he did, but he's being disrespected by the national.
He's being blackballed for sure.
Absolutely.
If he's a coach that's being blackballed, he's definitely being blackballed. Your thoughts on the ex-Commanders head coach, because I can't think of his name.
Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera has had an interview with the Cowboys for their DC. He has had an interview for the DC job.
Ron, I'm going to say this with the most respectful way I can. He doesn't deserve to have a job in the NFL. He's had opportunities, and
even
last year, as a DC, no. What the fuck? What? Excuse the language, but what is he going to prove? I mean, we've seen what the Commanders have looked like defensively. No. He does not. I don't think he deserves that opportunity. I think, honestly, you could go in a different route. How do you not choose Mike Vrabel over Ron Rivera? Like Gilbert Arenas said on his podcast, what are you looking at on these resumes when you are interviewing these coaches? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? I need to know what you're looking at. No. I don't like it. I think that's a slap in the face to a lot of other people. And the reason I feel that way is because I think about last year before the season started, players were bitching about EB pushing him, and Ron Rivera defended the players and not the coach.
Yeah.
No. You're trying to build a winning franchise, a winning culture, and if you're going to defend the players complaining, the crybabies over
because you're being pushed and held accountable.
No, I can't walk with that. The Cowboys, and you're going to go to the Cowboys, who are under the most pressure of anybody because of what Jerry Jones does. No, and that defense they have over there. No, I'm not a fan of that.
Fair enough.
Who will have the best first season as their coach this year of the new head coaches? Who will have the best first season?
It'd be the.
It's got to be Jim Harbaugh, right?
It has to. has to be Jim Harbaugh. He has to push for the division title. He has to push for a decent playoff run. Now, I mean, the Chargers are $24 million over the cap, so there is some stuff they have to do. Players they're losing and have to move and this and that. But their core is there. You have the franchise quarterback. So bringing the big name of him in, and running
this is the best quarterback he's ever had.
Running away from the allegations in Michigan and the NCAA, because he did. I'm sorry, Michigan fans, you're gonna lose your title. Claim it, don't claim it, whatever. It's gone. Just give it time. He ran away from it, but he has the most pressure in the NFL out of all the head coaches to succeed with that roster, with Mahomes.
Because there have been an underachieving team for the last
with Denver, they
3-4 years.
Horribly. It could have been in the playoffs last year, but the head coach banged the timeout, and so the Raiders interim head coach at the time said, "Okay,
cool.
we're both going to make the playoffs, but not now," and ran it.
Yep.
Kicked field goal, won, which by the Raiders, I thought the Raiders dropped the ball on that head coach. Since we're talking about head coach, I thought they should have been him. Didn't get it.
But we're happy they got Antonio Pierce.
I think they got it right. I'm happy for him.
So do you think, real quick, I'm not trying to harp on this, but who will be the second best head coach of the first season? In my opinion, mine are obviously Jim Harbaugh, and I think Mike McDaniel with Seattle. I think he's going to get them to the Legion of Boom 2. Mike McDonald, sorry.
Not McDaniel.
Mike McDonald. I think he's going to get Seattle back to the Legion of Boom 2.0.
I like that pick. I'm going to have to go with Mayo with the Patriots. I think they move on from, I think they go and get themselves a quarterback.
Ooh, okay.
Whether a trade or the draft, I'm going to go with a stable franchise, and I like to see the Patriots, even though I was kind of with Tom Brady when you guys were great. Now, since you guys are kind of mid, I think you guys will get it back on track with Jordan Mayo.
And then I have to ask this one. Who will be the first head coach of these new head coaches to be fired?
You know what? It's going to be you know what? I think it's going to be the Titans. I think the Titans messed up.
Wow. I was sitting there thinking the same thing.
It's going to be the Titans. I can't quite see who's the Titans head coach.
Brian Callahan, I think his name.
Callahan. I think, unfortunately for him, I think the Titans messed up. That franchise is such a flux. I don't think they really have anything. They don't have a franchise quarterback. The defense is solid-ish, but they have a lot of moving parts. I feel like with that unstable franchise, it seems like in that division, I think he's going to probably be the first one to get the boot.
First one to get boot. How long do you give him? How long do you say?
2
years?
2.5. I think he'll get fired through maybe his 3 year. He'll give him.
And then
who do you got? Who do you got outside of that team? Who out of that head coach?
Atlanta. I think about the talent. I think about
talent.
Kyle Pitts. Like, bro, if it doesn't come together, Kyle Pitts. I'm telling you right now. I'm begging you. If it don't go right for you this year, ask for a trade, bro. Get out of there. You're way too talented to be standing there and not being used properly. Not saying I want you on the Chiefs, baby, because we'll use you down here in Kansas City. But I'm just saying, get out of there. Go to a franchise that'll actually use you properly. This is
go to the Cowboys.
Go somewhere. Go somewhere. But no, I think Morris. I think outside of Tennessee, I think Morris. He's got a lot of pressure because there's a lot of talent on that roster. A lot of talent, and you could say they're kind of just missing a QB. In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And they could have had a QB if they would have took Lamar Jackson, but, the owner said no.
And the owner lied. He lied.
And you think about Lamar Jackson with that talent in the NFC, woo, but we could be talking about Atlanta in the NFC.
Well, speaking of the Falcons, the owner came out and said, we don't feel like we missed out on Lamar.
Oh, no, you missed out, bro.
You clearly did.
You capping. You capping.
They were willing to give the bag to Deshaun Watson, and we see how that's playing out in Cleveland. I think they missed out. They missed out definitely.
Notable coaches that were not signed. We're not going to spend too much time on this because, like we said, the head coaches are already hired. But Bill Belichick wasn't hired as a head coach. Mike Vrabel wasn't hired as a head coach. And Pete Carroll was not hired as a head coach. That's why I said out with the old, in with the new, outside of a couple guys that were hired.
Did you hear that Pete Carroll got himself... So he came out, Pete Carroll said during the season... I'm done after this year. I'm going to retire. I'm going to resign. And then the last game happened. And, they have their in-season meetings. He came out and said, "I don't want to be gone. I want to come back next year." And the Seahawks already put in motion to move forward, and so that's why he wasn't fired. More so, he was
now. Granted, he still might be in an advisory role,
to an advisor role or whatever. And he only had one interview, and I think it was with the Chargers.
They were interested, but. Side note, those guys are not head coaches. They will not be head coaches this year. We'll have to wait and see what the future holds for them. I mean, again, Bill Belichick's only like 15 wins away from...
Something like that, yeah.
But, again, like I said, out with the old, in with the new.
If you had to pick any of those coaches for offense or defensive coordinator, I think they're all DCs. So any of those, do you think any of them get a DC job?
Mike Vrabel.
Think Mike Vrabel?
I still think Mike Vrabel.
I think Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel. And that's not taken away from Bill Belichick, but Bill Belichick isn't going to take us
too big
of a name. You can't have
I think it'd be good for him to take a year off. You get a year off,
Yep.
recoup.
Dude, real quick, on another side note, do you think it hurts Bill Belichick being, quote-unquote, the greatest head coach of all time when now players are now taking shots at him? Current and former players are taking shots at him. Ryan Clark said what he said on First Take. Everybody heard that. Humphrey came out and said what he said on Twitter. You've heard Danny Amendola, Julie Edelman, the friction with him and Tom. Does that hurt his case for being the greatest head coach of all time, knowing how it looked after Tom left?
I think it hurt. Well, he was still the head coach. I think it hurt his case when Tom, in his first year at the Bucs, went and won a Super Bowl, and then you saw what it looked like with the Patriots. Great defense and a mid-offense. But if you go back and look at Bill Belichick's resume, his first job was with the Browns. One decent playoff run, you could say. Nothing there. Got fired.
Is he, in your opinion, the greatest head coach of all time? Or are you going to wait to make that until after the Super Bowl?
As of right here, right now, we'll say he is the best head coach all time, full resume. But to say that it is not up in the air.
It's not a conversation now?
It's definitely a conversation.
Fair enough.
Unless he can get the job, gets the winning title for the most wins.
But he has to win a Super Bowl if he ever becomes head coach again, right?
No, he has to. In my opinion, he has to make it to a Super Bowl with another franchise.
Okay.
He's never been to another. You've never been to a Super Bowl.
That's fair.
With another franchise as a head coach.
I can rock with that.
So I'm not trying to take all of that away from that. I think he accomplished, because to me, since you brought him up, I don't think without Belichick, I don't think there is a Brady. I just don't. That marriage made Brady, which also made Bill. But the player went on and won a ring with another team, had success, never missed the playoffs in 3 years he was with the Bucs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he got named the GOAT for a reason, Tom did.
Yep. That's
like it or not, he did. And Bill Belichick is the GOAT, maybe.
Okay.
If, the only person currently...
Andy Reid. Andy Reid.
I
think it's a conversation. If Andy Reid wins this Super Bowl, which, again, that'll be a topic we'll talk about next week. Andy Reid wins this Super Bowl... I don't care that he doesn't have 7.
Even though Bill beat him? Bill got him with the Eagles?
Bill did get him with the Eagles. That's fair. But the reason I say is Andy Reid's been able to do it with other quarterbacks. Think about it. He's done it with Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Nick Foles, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes. They may not all went to Super Bowls, but they won. Bill Belichick has not been able to win. And I also think about this, too, when I bring up that. You think about everybody under Bill Belichick's coaching tree that has moved on to other opportunities as head coaches. What have they done? Oh, wait, nothing. Andy Reid's coaching tree. You always hear, he was under Andy Reid. Look at what he's doing. Under Andy Reid. Andy Reid. Andy Reid. Andy Reid. What has people done under Bill Belichick? Well, outside of maybe Bill O'Brien, just a little bit, but...
But he lost to Andy Reid in the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Jaguars head coach now.
Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson was under Andy Reid with the Eagles and beat Bill Belichick.
He did.
In the Super Bowl.
So
not taking anything away. I think it is Bill, but I think Andy's right there because he has been able to do it multiple places.
Yeah.
And you have to have the longevity as a head coach.
To end this, some of the teams that were eliminated in this year's playoffs that had high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Miami Dolphins,
yeah.
Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, Philadelphia, Cowboys, and Lions. What is the next? Give me one thing these teams need to improve on to try to take that next step this season. Dolphins, one thing.
For the Dolphins, I think they need to go get themselves somebody. They gotta go get a nasty running back. Go get,
Saquon?
Go get Saquon. I was saying Najee Harris, but go get Saquon Barkley. He'll be on the market.
Okay.
Go get yourself a bruiser so you're not so flashy.
Buffalo. What does Buffalo need to get over the hump in the AFC? What do they need?
Bills Mafia. Go get Bill Belichick. Go get that man. Go get him. And I guarantee you he will
stay in the division, baby. Okay.
Go get that redemption against, the Patriots. And I guarantee you everyone's like, well, Problem with that, everyone's like, well, the short term. You want a ring in 3? You want 1 ring in 3 years or 0 rings? Sean McDermott's not getting you a ring. Bill Belichick, he'll get you a ring in 3.
Baltimore, what do they need to get to the next step after this season in the playoffs?
I think they just need to retain what they have, then hopefully learn from where they were at this year, and just grow and take that next step.
Okay.
Go get a healthy running back. I mean, hopefully.
Do they need another wide receiver? Do they need another wide receiver to go with Zay Flowers?
They got Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. I think Isaiah Likely is going to take another big step. There's going to be
a lot of free agent wide receivers they could pull at.
Well, they can run a lot of 12 personnel now. Go get Saquon. Go get yourself a running. Go get you a running back that can stay healthy. So when the passing game is not happening, you can hand it off, get you a stud in the backfield. Okay. I think that's where they need to go. You're defensively solid.
Philadelphia. What does Philadelphia need to do to get back to what
I think they did it. I think they talented. There's so much talent.
A lot of talent.
But they went and got a different DC. I like the DC.
Like the hiring.
I really like the OC coordinator. He's back in that conference again.
Okay.
I think the Eagles.
So you're saying it was just coaching wise that they need to make the changes.
It has to be. Okay. They have so much talent.
Fair enough.
And they underperformed. So if they blame the OC, the head coach. Tell me the head coach isn't on the hot seat for the Eagles.
He is.
Everybody that made the playoffs, he's on the hot seat.
He's immature as a head coach. I'm not going to front. He's very immature.
He is, but he blamed the OCs.
He did.
Both
and he's got to take.
But he's an offensive coordinator.
He is.
So that's kind of tough.
What do the Cowboys need to do to get to that next step? Sorry. What do the Cowboys need to do? What do they need? Give me one thing. What do they need?
Move off of Dak.
Move off of Jerry Jones. I don't know.
I mean, they draft good. Jerry Jones and the organization, they draft good.
So you saying move off Dak?
I think Dak's not the answer there.
Okay.
I mean, you kept head coach, so the quarterback got to go.
Jerry did say he was not committed to his contract extension.
He felt that people that were on a 1-year deal, they give it their all, and it's make or break for their head coach.
Okay, what does the Detroit Lions need to do to get back to where they were this season? To a chance at a Super Bowl. What does Detroit need? Grow? Same thing?
Kind of like the Ravens.
Kind of like the Ravens?
The Lions are young.
Very young.
And I think they need to bring back Jared Goff, and they just need to keep growing. The OC came back.
Yep, he did not take the job. I'm happy about that. He stayed committed. You don't see that.
You don't see that too
He had an
often.
Opportunity to go be head coach, and he said, no, I want to
just stay and keep developing what they're doing there.
So I can respect that.
So I do like it. I think Lions just keep growing and build. They have the foundation is set. They kind of were peaking a little bit last year. Won the division this year, made it to the NFC Championship game. Now they got to grow on it.
Okay.
Out of all those teams, who makes it back to the who out of all those teams whether makes it back or gets to the championship in their division? If you had to pick one.
Well, we have 3 NFC teams and we have 3 AFC teams. I would pick.
Yeah, give me one on each.
One on each. I would say I'm going to ride with the Lions. They're younger. I'm going to go Detroit. And then. It's hard if the Bills go and do what you say. It's hard not to say
that'd be nasty. It'd be hard.
Buffalo, Josh Allen, and Bill Belichick. I mean,
with the defense going like that.
I don't. And it's nothing to disrespect the other teams, but I don't trust Tua. The Ravens, I just can't. Lamar's lack of success in the playoffs is a problem. The Eagles, I just don't like the head coach. I just don't think. And then the Cowboys, they never do anything in the postseason.
So who do you got?
Lions and Bills. Lions and
Bills.
Lions and Bills.
That's not bad. That's Lions and Bills.
Who do you got? If you had to pick on there?
If I had to pick, I would with the changes the Eagles made. I would say the Eagles have potential to make it back to get to the NFC Championship, and I would say again the Bills.
They're right there.
If they can avoid the Chiefs, I think they could get there. I wish the Bills and Chiefs were the AFC and NFC so we didn't have to see it, but got to get B1 and 2 so we don't see each other till the AFC Championship.
You heard what he said, Bubbly. Heard what Brandon said. Fire your head coach, hire Bill Belichick, and he might get you a Super Bowl. Just don't have to play Kansas City in the first 2 rounds.
Real quick, is Patrick Mahomes, if he gets this ring, is he doing what Michael Jordan did, and is he causing a bunch of teams, head coaches, quarterbacks especially, go ringless? Is he that guy? He is. He is that guy.
Bill, if Patrick Mahomes wins this Super Bowl, he is now entered in. He's already in the GOAT conversation, but it puts him at number 3. Obviously, he's going to be there with Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and himself. He gets this Super Bowl, getting to this Super Bowl in general. Patrick Mahomes is not looking at his peers. They're way behind him. They're not on his level on any stature, and that's not me being biased. That's me being real as a football analyst, fan, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
He's just above everybody else. He's not in the same category. There's no one on his level. He's sitting at a table by himself. And he wins this Super Bowl.
If he wins it,
Then yeah, he's kept people from winning rings. I mean, think about the people he's beat in the AFC who we thought were going to be something. Lamar, Josh Allen. I mean, he stopped Joe Burrow too. Joe Burrow's gotten there, but he's also beaten Joe Burrow.
If you had to choose, if our Chiefs get it done, this Super Bowl against the Niners, which is a rematch of Mahomes' first.
Yep.
Which ring means more? Last year's or potentially this year's? In the quote-unquote rebuild year,
And then a down.
or the down year, we look like crap?
I would say of the 3 Super Bowls that we've been to, or all the Super Bowls we've been to, the ones that we've won, if we win this one, it would be this one, because you think about everything that we've been through this year. The drop passes, the offense hasn't looked together. Patrick Mahomes is not. We've heard all the talk. Patrick Mahomes is that guy. He's in a down year, and his down year is better than your most of your quarterback's best year. No, this Super Bowl would mean the more because they fought for it. They really had to go out and fight for this Super Bowl.
Would it mean more for his legacy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would definitely mean more for his legacy because look at who's on the offensive side of the ball catching the ball. I'm not talking about Travis Kelce. I'm talking about wide receivers. I mean, don't get me wrong. Rashid Rice, dog. Him. He a dog. But MVS, think about all the shit MVS has dropped all season. And I will give this too, and this also is another reason. Patrick Mahomes, everybody wanted Patrick Mahomes to call out your wide receivers. Get in their ass. He didn't do it publicly. Did he do it? Yes. But he didn't do it publicly. He did it on his own time with no cameras watching, and it paid off because these guys have shown up in the playoffs, and they have done their job. MVS, I ain't never been so goddamn scared when Patrick Mahomes threw that ball to him in the AFC Championship game. I was scared shitless. But MVS caught it, and he's made big plays this postseason, like he did last postseason in the AFC Championship game against the Cincinnati Bengals where he was like, I'm him. But no, this would mean the most for Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, the Chiefs organization. This would be the best Super Bowl they have won over the Super Bowls that we won with Patrick in the Mahomes era. This would be the best Super Bowl right here, right now. It would, without a shadow of a doubt, and it wouldn't even be close. And it's just even better because if we win, we beat Kyle Shanahan again, and then that would be the door would be over there for Kyle Shanahan. The door would be right over there because. Maybe the 49ers lose and they go get Bill Belichick. I don't know.
I mean, anything's possible.
But, yeah, no. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. Make sure you guys tune in next week. Follow us. Hit that subscribe button. Check us out on TikTok as well. Jacob Real Talk Sports. BMAC24 will be live next week on the Super Bowl as well. So, like I said, we're excited. We're looking forward to it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Go hit that follow button. And thank you for tuning in for J&B Unsupervised.